Hey guys, so the past weekend there were a couple of big online tournaments, the Colosseum Championship Series or the CCS and the Dragonrider Championship Series or the DCS. Thought I'd break down the most played hand traps and staples among the topping lists as usual. Now admittedly, I did not expect any big differences since the last time I did this a few weeks ago based on the LCS and the YCS, but there is the remote YCS coming up soon and I figured you guys always want the most recent data available. Also keep in mind that at the time of making this video, the ban list has not come out yet. So let's get started. So looking at the top cut breakdown for the CCS, which was a 3v3 event, you see a lot of Swordsoul as expected, but a good handful of prank kids as well, which might be a surprise for some since they seem to have fallen off a bit since the Meow Meow Mew limit. Then you have the Dogmatica Invoked and Bird Up as well, and some other familiar faces. Make sure to check out the Colosseum on Discord as well, I'll have the link below. As for the DCS, the top cut was pretty evenly split with Phantom Knight, Sky Striker, and Drytron sharing the pie. Dragon Link and Bird Up still made it as well. Make sure to check out the Dragonrider Facebook page to join their tourneys. I'll post a link as well in the description. Now unfortunately, not every deck list among these topping lists were available. We seem to have been missing deck lists from 2 teams from the CCS, which would mean 6 lists since it was a 3v3 event, and 1 Sky Striker list from the DCS. So in total, this was the breakdown of the topping list that will be in this video, a total of 25 lists. In terms of hand traps in the main deck, this ranged from 0 to 14 cards in the main, with a median of 7 hand traps. Last month when I did this, the median was 8, so a bit lower than before. As for the side, this ranged from 2 to 12 with a median of 6 hand traps, which is typically always the case each time I do these analysis. As for board break cards like Monster Negation or back row removal, this ranged from 0 to a whopping 14 cards in the main, where a Swordsoul list played a bunch of cards like Droplets and Chalice, but also Lightning Storm and evenly matched. The median in the main was 3 cards, something to think about since most decks are aiming to go first but are still putting in these going second cards to be safe. In the side, the board break cards range from 3 to 9 with a median of 5 cards, a little lower than last month. So let's cover the top 10 most played hand traps and staples as usual. Droll is now our number 1 hand trap, although most lists are side decking the card. Certainly really useful against Bird Up, and while not as powerful against Swordsoul, it can still help prevent them from getting access to Protos, which is probably a good enough reason since that card can shut you down completely. Next is Infinite Impermanence, still really popular with most lists main decking the card. Nibiru is still popular as well, with the main deck option being more favorable. Ash Blossom has fallen off lately since it used to be always number 1, but being seen in 17 of the 25 lists, this is still pretty high and it is predominantly a main deck card. With Fusion Destiny being so common in so many lists, Ash is very impactful against that, although not as strong against most decks on its own in any other situation. Lancia comes next and moves up a bit higher now, which generally can cover a good amount of decks, but is another card that can stop Protos from coming out, so might be seeing more play right now than before. And then we have Token Collector, all played on the side if it was run at all, a card specific to Swordsoul, but considering how common Swordsoul is, at least on Dueling Book high ranked, I think it's fair to put in this just because of that matchup. Next we have Valor and Gamma, more Monster Negation. Gamma is not high up as before, but it is certainly a strong hand trap right now. And then DD Crow is next, which is typically seen in any Tri Brigade list considering that they can search it. Next is technically Orange Herald, but considering that's exclusive to Drytron, I put Ghost Bell here, being seen in 2 lists. As for the most played staples, number 1 right now is Forbidden Droplet, which has become more and more popular over the last few months, and most lists now seem to be running it, this time all in the main deck. And then we have Cosmic Cyclone, which has been the most commonly played back row removal lately, even more than something like Feather Duster, especially because of Scythe running rampant. This was seen in almost half of the list, with only 1 main decking it. Triple Tactics Talent makes it pretty high on this list for the first time in a while as well, with most lists main decking the card. Definitely much more popular than Crossout Designator. Next up we have Dark Rule and No More, which was not as popular as Droplets but still seeing common play in 10 lists with 4 main decking it. And similarly, Imperial Order was also seen in 10 lists with 4 main decking as well. Surprising to see that this card is not high up as before, but it is still really powerful and something that may be put on this upcoming ban list. And then we have several cards that were all seen in 9 lists, starting with Call by the Grave, which was all played in the main deck if used. And then we have Mystic Mine, which saw more main deck play, something common in Sky Strikers but also now seen in Dogmatica Invoked. And then we have several back row removal cards including Harpy's Feather Duster, Red Reboot, and Twin Twisters. Evenly Matched this time around wasn't as high up there, but something worth mentioning. There Can Be Only One was also seen in 9 lists, although this card is technically more dependent on the deck that made top cut, as it is commonly seen in decks like Dogmatica Invoked, Prank Kids, and Sky Striker. Alright guys, so that was it for the top cut, hand trap, and staple breakdown for the CCS and DCS. Make sure to check out their social media pages that I'll link below. Hope you found that useful, and if you're playing in the upcoming remote YCS, best of luck. Take care guys.